Today we're joined by Harley Finkelstein, the president of Shopify.
Hi there.
Welcome. How are you today?
So glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, we're here to talk about AI and retail. And so let's jump right into it, Harley. Would love to know, what do you see as the biggest use cases for AI, specifically generative AI, in the retail landscape, even if it's e-commerce and brick and mortar?
Well, sorry, I look at AI from sort of two perspectives. One's on the consumer side, then one is on the merchant or brand side. Let me start with sort of the merchant side, because I think that's there's a lot to talk about there. I think when you talk about large brands with big bases of staff, there's a lot of people who do a lot of things. But more and more with the direct-to-consumer movement and the business model around retail for direct-to-consumer, a lot of these teams are very, very small. And so this idea that you effectively have a sidekick or an assistant that can help you with tasks that you may not be good at is really compelling. So I'll give you one example. At Shopify, we've actually embedded AI, we call Shopify Magic, across our entire product. So if you have a small team of people and you're adding a new product, you may not necessarily know how to write a great product description, but you can use AI to write a highly converting, highly optimized product description based on every product description on the internet. That means you can spend more of your time if you're a small company building the product as opposed to trying to get good at merchandising. Now, on the consumer side, this is where it gets really interesting. On the consumer side, now you actually have a sort of a shopping concierge that help you find what you want, when you want, and you can even specify things like delivery times. So we're just coming off of Halloween. I don't know if you went trick-or-treating. I went with my kids. I wanted to find a futuristic Peter Pan costume. My kids, one child was doing a futuristic thing, one child was doing more of a regular traditional costume thing. And so I used what we call shop.ai, which is now available in every browser, to type in, I'm looking for a futuristic Peter Pan costume, here's my budget, and here's the date of delivery I require it by. And it sifted through, I think, 280 million products on Shopify to find exactly what I wanted. And that is something that if you were buying from a high-end boutique 10, 20 years ago, you'd have someone in your corner helping you decide and curate your costume. But now everybody has that. And so I think it's going to make shopping more efficient, but also I think even more fun.
And so, Harley, you're really tech savvy. So you typing in, your product description, the thing that you want, that makes sense. But for maybe some older generations or people who aren't as tech savvy, how do retailers and companies like Shopify kind of bridge that gap to get more consumers to use generative AI in the retail space?
So one of the things we did was, historically, our AI was, for the consumer, was built into our Shop app, which meant you had to download the Shop app. It's an amazing shopping application. But more recently, we built shop.ai into a browser. So the example I always use is my mom. She's a lovely lady, but she is not tech savvy. So the fact that she can open up any browser on her phone, on her desktop or laptop, and type in shop.ai, and then a little chatbot opens up and says, how can I help you? And she can say, using plain English, I'm looking for a dress for this event, for this price point, in this style, at this delivery date. That's all you have to do. And I think a better way to think about AI as opposed to thinking about sort of technology is, it's like having a super knowledgeable friend around that you can always ask any questions to. But the difference with this friend is that they have a universal sense of everything there is to know on the world and on the internet and from a shopping perspective. And so I think what that means is you can find better things faster and more effectively. And I think consumers are really going to embrace it. And once they use it, they often keep using it.
And going back to Shopify Magic, the merchant-focused AI tool, what are some of the early takeaways that you're seeing from your enterprise customers using those tools?
Yeah, well, it really does feel like magic. And again, I think the unique part about Shopify is we think we're uniquely positioned to use AI because the generative AI product we built, number one, is built specifically for commerce in mind. It's not necessarily a universal AI. It's built specifically with merchants and brands in retail, keeping that in perspective.